Welcome to Sins of a Solar Empire 2, where the latest major update presents a challenge like no other, the Impossible Survival Challenge. Thank you to Stardock for sponsoring this video. If you'd like to check out Sins of a Solar Empire 2, you can do so using my link down below. Now let's get on with the challenge. So yes, welcome to the ultimate challenge in Sins of a Solar Empire 2. The task here is just a little bit different from normal. So too is our starting position. Here, this time around, victory is maybe not an option. Instead, the task is to survive as long as possible. So, you join me right here at the start of the game, and of course it's a little bit different from a normal start. This time around, I have all of these glorious planets. And if we zoom in a little bit, you'll also notice that some of them are a little more developed than others. But there's a little bit of a problem here and everywhere. They're really not defended, so I think I'll probably start with some of these larger bases. Also probably some cheap defenses, and I'm going to need to build up this economy. The challenge here is to survive as long as possible. And thankfully, as this is kind of an extended start, of course a normal scenario would have nothing, we'd be starting from the very beginning. Here, as you can see, I have quite a bit, and indeed some upgrades, some extra defenses, and plenty of ships to at least get us started. The real challenge though is going to be to try and defend all of this. As you can see, planets like this one here are completely unexplored, and largely I consider these to be border planets. They'll be our outer defenses. Inside though, it seems there's still plenty more to discover. While I may already have most of these planets settled, there's kind of multiple challenges happening at once here, right? I'm tasked with defending these borders, but also trying to consider the long game. The waves of enemies that will come through, because indeed they will come through in waves, just like sort of a classic roguelike experience, they will become increasingly stronger. So at some point, I might need to retreat this fleet. Also, the extended start gives me some extra technologies, above and beyond the normal starting conditions, but again, I'm going to need to try and build up my research base if I actually want to extend this tree. So, a dual focus here, both on defense, but also on the civilian stuff, right? On my factories, on resource extraction, in this ginormous universe where, actually, it turns out I'm not completely alone. I mean, this is mostly derelict loot. Maybe we'll fly back through, fire a couple of volleys off. For the time being, I think I need to focus on the exterior planets, on trying to build up some sort of periphery defense around the edges. And actually, as well as trying to build that up, there's also plenty to discover. I need to level up planets and probably also research these relics of battles gone by. More importantly though, it's the exterior, as I mentioned. And hello, beautiful. Or maybe not beautiful, for it seems the first wave is actually coming in down from here, from this radiation storm. It's the orange player. It didn't exactly come from the way I thought it would come from. Maybe that seems to change up every time. However, with this, basically the starting fleet, I think I can defend. And, whew, and defend I'm going to need to do. Run, you little... Oh dear. Oh dear. That is not a sign of things to come. Thankfully, of course, with the starting fleet, a few upgrades, and not just one, but 2 Titan fleets, most of these enemies that are coming through on what? Up the top there you can see minute 6 of this run. Not all that difficult to fight off. One of the more annoying things that I'm running into here, and this probably won't be the last time, is that the AI seems to be aggressively targeting my research stations, which, if you're unfamiliar with the game, basically ring fence what I can research in future, the kind of sort of the better technologies, the better weapons, as well as fighting the core of the planets. So I need to be fast and destructive, which is where some of the extra weaponry comes in. And also I think probably targeting these key ships, right? The Titans. Because as a gentle reminder, the AI is on impossible. The AI difficulty is literally impossible. And while we may only be fighting 1 enemy at the moment, there are 3 in the game. So this orange player is not the only one. And I think that means I need to focus on the outer rim. The little borders here, or just the broader battlefield, clearly show that I'm in the lead, right? The early strength that we have, though, can't be squandered. I've played quite a few runs of this challenge mode, where of course, you are open to compete against me. And leave your time in the comments below, but also there's a public leaderboard, and my own personal bests. I want to try and beat them. At the moment, I think I can still defend on every front. One player, defending each front, building up some defenses, a little bit short on some of the currencies, but generally speaking, I have good access to most everything that I might need. I also have the ability to start leveraging on the economy just a fraction more, right? Placing down some extra defenses, launching some extra defense craft in these structures that I'm building around the edge of the planet. The difficulty is going to be keeping these capital titans alive. And I also need to try and remember in the back of my mind that the battle is happening in 3D space, right? So it's not just watching all of my ships come in here, still fighting this one opponent, but also trying to navigate around some of the extra obstacles, use some of that wham bam, thank you ma'am, extra equipment as well. Generally speaking, I like to put my ships on attack mode, so that's what I'm going to do here. And firing off their abilities automatically seems to be pretty good in this game. I am starting to realize, though, that my positioning is just never good enough. I try and spread myself too thin. I think here probably this base is in the wrong spot. I might need some extra defenses around it. I mean, it captures a bit, but not a lot. And the difficulty of that base building also seems to be a little bit of a problem here in one of my key worlds. If shite really hits the fan, the goal, of course, is ultimately to retreat back here. So, my dastardly plan, build up an extra layer of defenses here, 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 core worlds, but also stretch to the edges and try and get as much resource as I can while I can. Oh dear. And just a couple of minutes later, from that last jump cut, shout out to me in the editing room, here you can see some larger ships are starting to arrive, and they're bombarding my planets, even the not exciting ones. We're only 20 minutes in, and I can feel that fun cortisol rising already. Yeah. Nonetheless, I think that the strategy here remains. Roughly 18 minutes, let's focus fire on destroying the key capital ships. The rest of these smaller, even the frigates, particularly the cruisers, are fairly easy to mop up. I've got the core planets producing, and I can keep fighting on the edges. And fighting indeed. Bam! There you have it. Just as predicted, and barely 20 seconds later. I'll continue to try and destroy these ships as long as possible, but as I pan out around the edges here, I mean, look at this. Barely defended. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. Maybe a shift slowly toward plan B is necessary. Of course, here I am in RTS mode. The key is not just to focus on the chaos happening around the edges, but also to focus on the planet building, on building my research capacity, more importantly, as well as some resource generation. I'll probably end up with a ridiculous amount, but for the time being, this will be harvested. Fly by my mates, chuck a couple of volleys off at them. They're really a waste of my firepower, but I'm just in attack mode always. Okay, back to the task at hand. I have some ships that are just kind of sitting around doing nothing. Most of them are new builds, some of them not so much. I think it's time to start to form sort of a couple of at least vaguely cohesive defensive walls. Hopefully this is enough. I mean, look at this big upgraded bad boy. This is absolutely enough to defend at least this frontier. During the chaos, I don't know about you, but I think it's also important to stop and smell the roses, so to speak. In this case, the roses are ginormous ships with heavy missiles, autocannons, one planetary bomb even, I'm pretty sure I just read. Never mind that though. I think it's important just to stop and admire, because of course one of the big advantages to this scenario inside of Paths to Power DLC is that we do get to start with some awesome technology, and so too do the many enemies, of course. Not to worry, still mostly intact here. Though, actually, Speaking of big ships, hello to my favorite ship in the game. This time around, it's time to destroy. There we go. Look at this. Trying to escape. You cannot escape. And it's really important that you don't. Bam! Because I need to defeat all of these waves. Of course, ultimately, it's that wave counter. And as the wave counter ticks over, it's time for me to start redeploying. At this point, I'm about 30 minutes in. If my past experience is anything to go by, yes, indeed. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. We're starting to be bombarded from multiple sides. There are, as you saw earlier in the game, ultimately going to be 3 impossible level AI players fighting it out. Fighting it out, I mean just fighting me. Their objective is to destroy me and to only destroy me. And look at them go. They are just so aggressive at destroying my key defensive infrastructure and also just flat out bombing my planets. Even if they're not worth anything, not seemingly strategically worth anything, of course, that doesn't matter in this game mode. It is really a roguelike-esque survive as long as I can challenge. And an impossible challenge, it would seem to be. I still have a little bit of offensive capacity here, though, as well as some defensive capacity. I think it's time to start spamming out extra civilian defenses. For if you've played any this kind of mode in any scenario previously, you'll know that one of the things you can do to extend your time, like I'm doing here, is to build a little bit of extra defense in your main planets, but also in some of those random ones really far away. The old sneak a colony ship out and try and build up enough targets to distract the enemy. And that grand plan of distraction, maybe not so hot. It's definitely time to ditch this outpost. As both enemies close in, I probably can't defend this, right? I mean, God, look at that sheer destruction. I cannot defend this. It's time now to officially sound the alarm, move to plan B. Move into some core planets. I'm not going to lie to you, looking up at the clock here on a slightly faster speed, it's only 50 minutes in, and I'm already sort of desperately building these manic defenses on the outskirts, trying to keep a little bit of economy. I've got so much money, I need productive capacity to survive. And so productive capacity it shall be, not just with these military defenses, but also, of course, ultimately with some civilian ones. I have the economy, but I don't really have the defenses anymore, nor do I have the fleets. So go, you little constructor, go. I'm going to try and build these extra little outposts, but oh dear. Okay. Yeah. Really not happy there. Not happy at all. But nonetheless, I survive. Every one of these outposts that crops up, the enemy seems to be flying in more aggressively than ever before. Now I'm going to move into what I like to think of as Phase 3. Still, as you can see, trying to get my civilian infrastructure online. But now really the goal is just to stretch out the timer. Survive. Initially a game of thriving. I'm going to try and still keep that alive. These ships are relatively easy to build, these colony ships. And if I can even just throw up a few distractions, because of course the enemy is coming in waves. It's not necessarily a constant onslaught. If I can at least, as I've done so far, keep up and keep destroying them, then it will just be a wave every few minutes. So I'll keep the core world focused on ships and some of these distractions around the edges. Oh man. I'd hope the jump cut shows me being an absolute moron. Yes, indeed. It surely did. Okay. Last-ditch effort here in the final moments of survival. Just build as much as I can to stretch out the timer. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, if you'd like to try this challenge, you really should. You can use my link down below to embrace the absolute chaos that is this challenge, one of many in this game. Sins of a Solar Empire 2 is the name of the game, and I've been playing but one of 10 scenarios in the new DLC. You could of course just play a regular game if you'd like to start from the very start and experience that true glory. I made it around 2 hours and 10 minutes. Let's see what you can do. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for watching. Thanks again to Stardock for sponsoring this video. And be sure to check out Sins of a Solar Empire 2 using that handy little link right down below. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.